Chapter 1. First Contact. Captain Elena Torres stared at the blinking red light on her console, each flash like the slow, steady beat of a war drum. Her fingers hovered over the controls, tense but precise, as her gaze narrowed on the sensor readout. They weren't alone out here. Deep in uncharted space, where no human ship had gone before, something enormous was closing in. And it wasn't friendly. "Captain," came the voice of her first officer, Lieutenant Marin Shaw. She leaned in, her face mirroring Torres's concern. "It's an Asleal warship. They're broadcasting an approach warning. Directive states we're to halt all movements and prepare for inspection." Torres exhaled, gathering herself. "Prepare for comms," she ordered. She felt the weight of each passing second, the silent menace lurking in the void just beyond their view screens. Torres had heard about the Asleal, the legendary Deathworlders whose reputation stretched across systems. Their ships were as imposing as their warriors, their tactics brutal. Humanity was still new to interstellar diplomacy, but this wasn't a species known for its patience. The screen flickered, revealing a towering Asleal figure, armored in a black exosuit that gleamed with the reflected starlight. His pale yellow eyes burned with a cold, calculated interest as he looked them over, his expression as sharp as the lines of his jagged battle crest. "I am Commander Thrisk of the Asleal High Vanguard," he announced, his voice rumbling like distant thunder. "You humans have wandered where you don't belong." Torres straightened, meeting his gaze with quiet determination. "This is Captain Elena Torres of the UNS Resolute. We're a scientific expedition, Commander. Our only intention was to explore." "Explore?" Thrisk interrupted, his tone laced with a dark amusement. "Your kind dares to explore a Deathworld sector? Few species possess such audacity or such recklessness." His eyes flickered as he studied them, an edge of curiosity cutting through his disdain. "We're aware of the dangers," Torres replied calmly. "But humanity thrives on resilience. We don't shy away from the unknown." Thrisk's lips pulled into a thin, mocking smile. "Resilience? I wonder if you understand what that truly means." His voice dropped, carrying a new intensity. "Your species is young, Captain. Soft. In the Asleal Dominion, strength is the only currency. Deathworlds are no place for beings unworthy of survival." Torres felt a surge of frustration, but she held her composure. "With respect, Commander, we've proven ourselves resilient more times than I can count." "Then prove it again," Thrisk replied, a glint of challenge in his gaze. "Our protocols require us to test those who claim such strength." He leaned forward, his stare drilling into her. "You'll be released only if you pass a survival trial. Should you fail, consider it a lesson in humility and a warning to your species." Marin shot Torres a worried look, but Torres's eyes never left the screen. "We accept your terms," she replied, her voice steady. The decision was made. There was no turning back. Thrisk's expression showed a hint of surprise, but he quickly masked it. "Very well, Captain. Prepare your crew." The comm cut abruptly, leaving the bridge in a charged silence. Torres glanced around at her crew, their expressions ranging from apprehension to fierce resolve. Each face reflected the same steely determination. They knew the risks, knew that this was a test not just of their abilities, but of humanity itself. Minutes later, the Resolute was escorted to a nearby moon, its atmosphere thick with toxic gases and storms that raged across jagged landscapes. They would be tested here, on this barren, deadly rock that the Asleal considered routine. As Torres and her crew were shuttled down, they braced against the craft's tremors. The hostile terrain was visible through the small windows, bathed in an eerie, sulphurous glow. Jagged cliffs rose like monstrous teeth, and acid rain streaked down, hissing as it struck the hull. "Captain," Marin murmured, her voice low as they touched down. "They're trying to intimidate us?" Torres nodded, her expression hardening. "They see us as prey, Marin. But that's their mistake. Humanity didn't get here by backing down." The hatch hissed open, and the crew stepped onto the surface, each one steeling themselves against the biting wind and the acrid stench of sulfur. Every sense was on high alert, every movement calculated. The Asliel watched from orbit, their sensors undoubtedly trained on the humans' every step, waiting to judge them by their reactions to this hostile environment. Torres led her team through the jagged landscape, her boots sinking slightly into the volatile soil with each step. They set up a makeshift base, securing equipment and scanning the area for the inevitable challenges ahead. The air was thick with tension, and every gust of wind felt like a warning. Hours passed. They encountered swarming creatures with razor-sharp claws, acidic pools that bubbled ominously, and unpredictable rock slides triggered by the slightest disturbance. But the crew moved with practiced precision, each member following Torres's lead, trusting her to guide them through the chaos. They fought, adapted, and overcame. As they prepared to pack up and signal their completion, a larger shadow fell across them. A hulking beast, its skin a camouflage of volcanic rock and blistering hot to the touch, emerged from a nearby ravine. Its glowing eyes locked onto Torres, and it let out a bone-rattling roar. "Stand your ground," Torres commanded, her voice clear and firm. She locked eyes with the creature, her heart pounding as she steadied her weapon. The crew formed a protective line, each one ready to fight. As they fought the beast, Torres could feel the eyes of the Asliel upon her, watching, evaluating. They had hoped for fear, for hesitation, but they would see only courage. At last, the beast staggered, its massive form collapsing with a final, defeated snarl. The humans stood victorious, their faces smeared with dirt, their breaths heavy, but their resolve unshaken. Torres looked up, knowing Thrisk was watching. She held her head high, silently daring him to deny what he had seen. They had passed the test, not only for survival, but for respect. Far above, in the cold silence of space, Thrisk's eyes narrowed. For the first time, he wondered if these humans were not so different from his own kind after all. Chapter 2. Proving Ground. The return to the Resolute was brief. Captain Torres and her crew barely had time to rest before Commander Thrisk's next communication arrived, his voice cold and unwavering. "Congratulations, Captain. Your survival against the native predator was unexpected. Yet a single victory is insufficient to prove the worth of a species. The second phase of your trial awaits." Torres clenched her jaw, feeling both the weight of the crew's silent anticipation and the unspoken challenge laced within Thrisk's words. The Resolute's bridge was silent, each member acutely aware that this second phase could mean their lives. She glanced at her officers, finding the unwavering loyalty she'd come to rely on reflected in their eyes. "Commander," Torres replied, her voice calm, "we're prepared. Specify the conditions of this next trial." There was a pause on the line, and then Thrisk's image appeared, his piercing gaze surveying the crew. "You will prove your adaptability and unity," he stated, as if reciting a commandment. A Deathworlder is not only strong. They are resilient and adaptable. Only those who thrive through synergy and intelligence can endure. He leaned closer, his yellow eyes gleaming. "Your new location awaits. If you succeed, I may finally consider humanity worthy of respect." The comms cut out, and Marin Shaw turned to Torres, brows furrowed. "Do you think he's just trying to break us, Captain?" Torres gave a faint smile. "It's a test of resilience. He's trying to see if our unity can withstand the unknown. The Asliel are all about strength, yes, but there's more surviving together, thriving as a team. He wants to see how we handle pressure as one." Marin nodded, resolve stealing her expression. "Then we show him what humans are made of." Hours later, they descended onto the designated location, an alien ruin buried deep within a massive canyon. The structure was unlike anything they'd seen before, with metallic, rusted walls sprawling out in jagged patterns, as if it had grown directly out of the canyon rock. Pillars of stone and metal spiraled upwards, crumbling in places, casting long shadows across the cracked ground. The air was thick with an odd, metallic tang that made Torres's throat prickle. They moved carefully, spreading out in pairs as they explored the ruins. Each step echoed through the desolate structure, giving the place a haunting sense of forgotten purpose. Marin led her team deeper into the maze of corridors, her flashlight illuminating strange carvings on the walls, symbols that twisted in patterns, forming a language they couldn't decipher. "Captain," she called over the comm, her voice tinged with awe. "These carvings, they're ancient, possibly thousands of years old." Torres was about to respond when a sound cut through the comms, a low, rhythmic thumping like distant footsteps. She tensed, signaling her team to stay alert. "Marin, we're hearing something on this end. Keep your eyes open and regroup if you see anything unusual." "Understood." Marin's voice was steady, but Torres could feel the unease settling in. The footsteps grew louder, and a dark figure emerged from the shadows, its silhouette hulking and jagged. Torres's heart raced as the creature drew closer. It was an automated guardian, built from twisted metal and stone, its eyes blazing with a soft red glow as it scanned the room. The guardian moved with a slow, deliberate pace, each step crunching against the floor, sparks flickering as it shifted. "Captain orders," whispered Ensign Price, gripping his sidearm, his face pale but focused. Torres held up a hand, studying the creature. "Hold. It's assessing us. Let's not provoke it." The guardian's red gaze swept over them, its head tilting in a bird-like manner as it processed their presence. For a tense moment, it lingered, the air thick with potential violence. But then, without warning, it shifted its attention away, moving down another corridor, its steps reverberating in the hollow structure. "Looks like it's just patrolling," Torres murmured. She motioned for her team to follow. "Stay alert. There might be more of them." As they delved further into the ruins, they encountered a series of obstacles. Cliffs too steep to climb without assistance, narrow passages that forced them to crawl, and corridors blocked by ancient debris. Each challenge required quick thinking and teamwork, pushing the crew's skills and trust in one another to the limit. Torres helped Ensign Price up a steep incline, her arms burning as she braced herself against the edge, pulling him to solid ground. He panted, nodding gratefully. "Captain, I can't shake the feeling that these trials were designed specifically for us." She smiled grimly. "That's the point. Thrisk doesn't just want to see if we're strong. He wants to know if we can adapt under pressure. This is as much a test of our unity as it is of our strength." Their path led them into a vast chamber where rows of ancient terminals lay dormant, covered in a thick layer of dust. A broken screen flickered to life as they entered, the symbols flashing across in a language that none of them recognized. Torres felt a sense of wonder mixed with dread as she approached it. "We need to find a way out," she said, scanning the room. "Marin, any chance your team found an exit?" Before Marin could respond, a series of metal doors slammed shut across the chamber, trapping them inside. A soft hum filled the air, and the terminals began to glow with a reddish light. "Captain," Price muttered, fear slipping into his voice. "It's like the place is alive." Torres felt her pulse quicken. "Stay calm. We'll figure this out." The terminal's lights grew brighter, bathing the room in an eerie crimson hue. Torres felt a surge of adrenaline, her mind racing as she tried to understand. The Asleal test wasn't just about physical endurance. It was a psychological battle. They were meant to feel the weight of isolation, the pressing darkness, the inescapable sensation of being watched. Then, as if answering her thoughts, a voice crackled through the chamber speakers, Thrisk's voice. "You humans think you understand resilience. But resilience is more than survival. It's the strength to thrive in solitude, to push forward even when all paths seem closed. Show me what you're truly made of, Captain Torres." The message cut out, leaving them in silence. The weight of Thrisk's challenge settled heavily on them, amplifying the vast, hostile silence. Torres looked around at her crew, seeing the glint of determination in their eyes despite the tension. She nodded, her own resolve hardening. "We're not giving him the satisfaction of seeing us crack. We find a way out of here. Together." They braced themselves, the room cloaked in crimson shadows, the weight of the trial closing in. But as they shared a silent look of unity, one thing was certain. Humanity would not be broken so easily. Chapter 3. Catalyst. The Resolute's crew had survived the desolation of the Asleal ruins and the claustrophobic trial of endurance. But the third trial, the Catalyst, awaited them with an unsettling mystery. Captain Torres felt the weight of her crew's fatigue and wariness. They'd been pushed beyond their limits. And yet Thrisk's voice over the comms had hinted that the worst was yet to come. A faint hum filled the dimly lit chamber as they moved deeper into the ruin. Their path was illuminated by a soft, phosphorescent glow that pulsed beneath their feet like a heartbeat. The stone corridors began to feel almost alive, closing in with every step, as if the very walls were part of this final test. Marin Shaw paused beside Torres, her breathing steady, but her eyes betraying a flicker of uncertainty. "Captain, what do you think Thrisk's endgame is here? I can't shake the feeling he's studying us, beyond just seeing if we're worthy." Torres gave a thoughtful nod, her gaze steady. "I think you're right. Thrisk is searching for something that defines us beyond our strength. He's waiting to see if we'll break or prove something more." Their path opened into a cavernous space unlike any they'd seen. The walls were adorned with etchings, swirling patterns of stars and planets that seemed to shift when viewed from different angles. In the center of the room sat a colossal, dormant machine, a complex web of gears, crystalline panels, and pulsing conduits embedded within the walls. The ancient device seemed both alluring and dangerous, emanating a quiet, potent energy. "This must be the core of the structure," Marin whispered, her eyes wide with awe. "This technology, there's nothing like it. It's beautiful but terrifying." The room trembled as the machine rumbled to life, its gears grinding and turning as it cast a crimson glow across the chamber. Thrisk's voice crackled through their comms once again. "You have reached the Catalyst," he announced, his tone devoid of emotion. "This device has the power to alter molecular structures and rewrite genetic codes. It is a weapon and a tool, capable of creation or destruction. Your task is simple: determine its purpose. Use it wisely if you dare." Torres felt a surge of apprehension. They were being asked to activate a device of unimaginable power, one that had been dormant for millennia. She looked around at her crew, each of them wearing expressions ranging from fear to curiosity. They could be the first to unlock its secrets, or the last. Marin stepped forward, examining the console closely, her fingers hovering over the ancient symbols. "Captain, I think I can decipher some of this. It looks like it has multiple functions: restoration, enhancement, and something else I can't translate. It's almost like adaptation." Torres considered this, her mind racing. What if Thrisk wants to see if we can harness this power without being consumed by it? If this technology is truly as advanced as it seems, he might be testing our restraint as much as our intelligence. Marin nodded, her fingers trembling slightly as she hovered over the controls. "It could amplify our strengths or turn on us in an instant. Then we proceed with caution." Torres turned to her crew, her voice steady. "Listen up. We're going to explore this device, but no one touches anything unless it's absolutely necessary. We're dealing with something ancient and unpredictable." The team dispersed, examining the massive structure as they communicated their findings back to Torres. Marin traced a set of etched symbols along one of the panels, frowning as she deciphered their meaning. "It mentions transformation through unity," she murmured. "This wasn't just a weapon. It was used to amplify groups, merging their strengths. I think it was designed to channel collective resilience, a test of whether people could wield power together without turning it to destruction." Torres felt a flicker of understanding. The Asleal had mastered physical endurance in combat, but perhaps they'd never understood the full potential of unity, the human ability to overcome differences and work together, even in the most desperate situations. This machine was a relic from an age that valued more than just brute strength. The room's vibrations intensified, and the lights dimmed before flaring with a blinding brilliance. The machine was beginning to pulse, as if sensing the latent energy within the team. One by one, each crew member's comm link lit up, displaying a prompt on their wrist consoles. Asterisk, "Will you accept the catalyst bond?" Asterisk. The question lingered in the air, its implications clear. To proceed, they would have to trust not only the device but each other, becoming something greater than individuals. Torres knew this was the ultimate test. Captain Price's voice wavered, his gaze shifting from his console to hers. What if we're wrong? This thing could change us permanently. Are we ready for that? Torres met his gaze, her own doubts mirrored in his eyes. But beneath those doubts was a conviction, a belief in the strength they'd found in one another through every trial. She took a breath, standing tall. We've faced everything Thrisk has thrown at us, and we've done it together. This device is a part of the test, but it's more than that. It's a chance to prove that our strength lies not just in survival, but in our unity. If we refuse, we might lose everything we've worked for here. One by one, the crew members nodded, their faces set with determination. Each accepted the prompt, trusting in Torres and in one another. The machine responded, its glow intensifying as it enveloped them in a warm, resonant hum. They felt a surge of energy, an indescribable sensation as the device bonded with them, amplifying their thoughts, their instincts, their connection as a team. For a moment, they were no longer just individuals, but a unified force, a shared consciousness that understood one another's thoughts and intentions without words. Torres could feel Marin's determination, Price's loyalty, and every heartbeat of her crew pulsing in sync with her own. Then, as quickly as it had started, the connection faded, leaving them standing in silence. Each person's senses heightened, their minds sharpened by the brief, powerful link. They felt stronger, as though the machine had unlocked a deeper potential within each of them, a strength born of trust and unity. Thrisk's voice crackled through their comms, a hint of surprise breaking through his usual detachment. You survived. More than that, you succeeded. The crew exchanged glances, a mix of pride and relief washing over them. They had passed the Asleel's trials not by brute force, but by something Thrisk had not anticipated: human resilience and unity. Torres spoke into her calm, her voice steady. The test was a trial of strength, yes, but not the kind you expected, Commander. Our strength is in each other. There was silence on the line, and then, almost reluctantly, Thrisk responded. Perhaps humanity's place among Deathworlders is not so far-fetched after all. As the comms cut out, Torres and her crew took a collective breath, feeling the lingering strength of their bond. They had passed the catalyst, but more than that, they had proven humanity's resilience, not just to the Asleel, but to themselves. Chapter 4. Trial of Honor. The atmosphere in the chamber grew tense as the Resolute S crew prepared to face Thrisk one final time. After conquering the catalyst and emerging from the Asleel trials stronger and unified, the crew's next challenge was not only to prove their worth, but also to establish an undeniable place for humanity among the stars. Captain Torres tightened her grip on her blaster, sensing the weight of their mission more keenly than ever. Thrisk's hologram flickered into view at the chamber's center, his eyes colder than the space beyond the station walls. He studied each of them in silence, his face unreadable, but Torres could sense his lingering disbelief. It was as if, despite their success, he couldn't fully comprehend the humans' resilience and unity. Torres straightened her stance, meeting his gaze with unyielding resolve. Your performance in the trials has surpassed our expectations, Thrisk began, his tone as emotionless as ever. But there is one final test. The Asleel valued strength, but true power comes only when one understands the honor it demands. I must know if you are willing to stand by that honor, even when it asks more of you than you wish to give. Torres kept her face calm, concealing her unease. What exactly are you asking, Commander Thrisk? Thrisk motioned toward a section of the wall that split open to reveal a hidden compartment. Inside, a sleek, dark sphere pulsed with a soft, unsettling light. Its purpose was unclear, but the air around it thrummed with dangerous energy. Thrisk's expression hardened as he looked between them and the object. This device is a remnant of the Asleel's final battles, he said. It can unleash a powerful, irreversible effect on those it targets. Your choice is simple, yet paramount. Do you wield this power against your enemies, knowing it will give you superiority, or do you leave it untouched, proving that you honor the responsibility of such power? Choose well. The room fell silent, the gravity of Thrisk's words settling heavily upon them. Torres glanced at Marin, Price, and the rest of her crew, seeing the same conflict mirrored in their eyes. The power to win, guaranteed and absolute, was tempting, but something about it felt fundamentally wrong. To wield such power without thought could prove them unworthy of the legacy they sought to build. Torres turned back to Thrisk, her voice calm but resolute. Why give us this choice? You're not testing our strength here. You're testing our restraint. Correct, Thrisk replied. Many Deathworlders have faced this choice and failed. The Asliel left this relic to determine who among us truly understood honor. Those who would abuse it were deemed unworthy. Torres studied the device, her mind racing. This was their final test, but not a battle against some external force. It was a trial of principles, an examination of their integrity. Power and honor could be tools of destruction or protection. Only by choosing wisely would they prove they could carry humanity's ideals into a universe that judged them as mere Deathworlders. She addressed her crew, her voice steady. This is our moment, our chance to prove that humanity doesn't just survive, but that we hold ourselves to a higher standard. We didn't come this far to take shortcuts. We came to show that our strength lies in understanding our responsibility. Marin nodded, her gaze fixed on the device, the temptation visible in her expression, but tempered by determination. If we use this, we're no better than any other empire that sees power as the ultimate prize. What we've achieved here, is worth more. Price gripped his weapon, visibly struggling but slowly easing his stance. I never thought I'd say it, but Marin's right. We didn't come here just to win. We came to prove we belong. A murmur of agreement passed through the crew, their collective resolve solidifying. They would walk away from the promise of absolute power, holding on to their principles rather than falling prey to the temptation of domination. Thrisk's eyes narrowed as he observed their choice, his expression flickering with something akin to admiration. Very well, he intoned. You have made your decision. The honor you have displayed here is unexpected, yet it is undeniable. With a gesture, he shut down the device, and the ominous hum faded. The chamber brightened, and the oppressive energy dissipated, replaced by a calm, serene stillness. The trial was over. Torres felt a wave of relief wash over her, tempered by the realization of what they had just accomplished. They hadn't just survived. They had proven themselves to an ancient race who judged others solely on their strength. In a place where even honor was measured by restraint, they had passed the test. Thrisk's gaze softened as he regarded Torres. You have shown humanity's potential in ways even we had not considered. The Asliel's trials were designed to weed out the reckless, those too quick to wield power without thought. But you have reminded us that strength tempered by honor is the most formidable of all. Torres offered him a respectful nod. Commander Thrisk, I hope this will be the beginning of a new understanding between humanity and the Deathworlders. We're here to bring more than survival. We bring a sense of purpose, a code that guides us even in the darkest moments. A slow nod was his response. Indeed. Return to your world with our respect, Captain Torres. You and your crew have earned it. And if humanity continues to uphold this standard, you may find allies among those who once saw you as nothing more than rivals. With a final nod, Thrisk's image flickered and faded, leaving the Resolute crew standing in a silence filled with both relief and pride. They had completed the Asliel's trials and secured humanity's place among the Deathworlders. As they made their way back to the Resolute, Torres felt the weight of what they had achieved. The stars awaited, and now they would approach them not as conquerors, but as a species worthy of respect. For in the Asliel's final trial, they had not merely proven their strength, but had shown their honor, a quality that would carry humanity farther than any weapon or force. Back on the bridge, Torres looked at her crew, a small smile breaking through her usually stoic expression. We came to prove ourselves, and we did. Today, we've secured humanity's place among the stars, and we did it our way. Her crew erupted into a cheer, the tension giving way to a profound sense of accomplishment. They had faced the Asliel's trials and emerged victorious, not through force, but through conviction. With the coordinates for home set, the Resolute began its journey back to Earth, carrying a story that would inspire generations. A tale of resilience, unity, and the honor that had defined humanity's place among the Deathworlders.